he will die. But now the politicians influence the courts, a tribunal to question the constitutionality of that deal from the 90s. And of course, the party has their own judges now Vincent screaming
Mhm.
in courts. So they decided that was unconstitutional. So now you got all the women all over Poland, just and the symbol are the hangers. They're using hangers as a symbol.
Really? That's-
Yeah, well, hanging hangers everywhere. So
I'm gonna
that's
I'm gonna start recording. We're-
all right.
All right, we're recording now. We're live. All right, we're live. This is The Human Condition. I'm Vince Orlando. Artie Bokel.
Yes, I'm Arthur. Hello, hello.
We're and Art's joining us today from Warsaw, Poland. How are you?
Ah, terrific,
Yeah.
sensational. My head is pounding, but I'm great. Yeah, too much working from home. This thing got to us, to all of us. So
The pandemic being locked down and all that.
yeah, we did quite well back in April and March. We didn't have too many infections, but after summer, everything just went crazy. So we had, Poland's about a tenth of the size of US
Yeah.
in population, and we had 21,000 infections today. So that would
How
be
many?
equivalent 21,000. So that would be equivalent to 210,000 for US. So
Wow, that's insane.
you know,
That's crazy.
crazy. We had over 15,000 for the past a couple of weeks now since the older kids are back to school. The second week of October, everything just went nuts.
How
Yeah,
how many deaths out there?
that's a good question. I didn't check last time.
It's not something
But
to
I'd
keep
say
up with, I guess.
yeah, about 4,000, I think. But you can never really tell if they're recording them correctly or not, because one day you hear that they're using this as a piggy bank to get the money because the COVID deaths are being paid more by the government. Then you hear they're not really recording it because our deaths are actually pretty low compared to the neighbors like Germany or Czech Republic or Estonia. So you know, either go by
So
averages. Yeah.
they're politicizing it over there too.
This is all they do, and first they're waste. First, that's probably every government, man. This is unbelievable how unprepared can humans be for this, and you would expect the politicians to be at least do their homework, but no, it's a different story every day. Today we're gonna close down the barbershops. Tomorrow we're gonna make you wear a mask, okay? Which is I'm all for it. I mean, obviously, I'm in the business, so it's any sort of precaution is very important. I mean, if you can prevent overloading of the healthcare system, then we can prolong the possibility of people not dying too quick. Because this, if you know, good example, my wife's grandma, she got COVID. She said she's not feeling well. The ambulance said on Sunday, we can't take you because there's no hospital they'll take you at the moment because there's no room
Really?
all over Warsaw. Yeah, so there's an 80-year-old woman that had 3 heart surgeries. She's actually an old nurse. So there she is saying, "What the hell is going? What am I going to do?" Right. So then she sees the doctor via internet, um, and they schedule the test for her. She doesn't get the test till Wednesday, so she doesn't know. She's got a fever. She's older lady. She feels like shit every day. So Wednesday she gets tested. Thursday turns out she got COVID, and today they took her to the hospital. She's 80. The chances, and she's diabetic, and obviously the heart condition doesn't help. So yeah, I should post a picture of my godmother. I gave her the helmet and all the
Yeah, I saw that.
various equipment. So she went there. Yeah, so she went. Gave her hooked her up with some food. But yeah, it's bad. when it started in March, they started throwing money at everything. So we have these big cases of politicians being involved with these smoke companies that never dealt medical equipment or PPE before, and they are all of a sudden bringing in respirators for like $250 million dollars. They're getting money in, and turns out they can never deliver the respirators. Now can't find the money, and the politicians signed on it. So everybody's saying they're probably are on it as well. They're using the whole the COVID pandemic to enrich themselves. Now, obviously, I mean,
I'm losing you a little bit. You got frozen. I don't know if that's me or. Let me check. Damn technology. All right, we're obviously pausing for a minute and see if we can get Art back on. This is he'll be back on. Technology is amazing, isn't it? That we can see each other from Poland to here, and what's really amazing is that they're going through the same thing. They have the politicians that are politicizing COVID, people that are stealing from. I mean, it's people are. I guess people are people. We like to. I mean, I know I always say, well, here in America, we got a lot of copycats out there. He's too far in outer space. I got a feeling we're going to get several of these things today, but that's all right. That's all right. We're good. We're good. I'm going to text him. Hit him up on WhatsApp. Let me see if I can find him. I'm going to go back into outer space and look for Art. Bear with us. We're going to have to edit this episode. Damn, Art, don't tell me the COVID got you. He's too far in outer space. What's happening, George? How you doing? Jason? Krem? Good to see you guys on here. Oh, there he is. He's back. Artie Boko.
sorry, I don't know what happened.
Well, George knows. He says he's on. Do you have the live going on your phone? George said you're too far in outer space. Like we're not getting sick.
Exactly. Yeah, it's too far in outer space. I don't want to show the mess in the back. No.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no. But I was commenting when you were gone, floating around out there, that it's pretty. I don't know if Poland's copycatting us and every other that we would say quote unquote civilized country, but it's the same stuff that's going on. You got the corrupt politicians. You got, and you were talking before you got on about this big the abortion protests. Same shit. It's the same thing happening out here. I don't know what's feeding this, and I don't know if the world has always trended like that, or if this has everything to do with social media. And I think it might.
I'm not much for a conspiracy theory, but if you if you look at it from, outer space, you might think that somebody's really steering this, so it actually folds in the right direction the way somebody wants it to. When you think about it, you guys have Trump, and again, I don't vote in U.S., so you're entitled to vote. You can vote for whomever you want to, and I respect the democracy. But we're going through a second term of a party that's a right wing, very nationalistic. They do not tolerate anybody but Polish people. The ruler of the party that's 7 years old, we're laughing that he's never been outside the country. I
Really?
mean, yeah, the biggest thing for me when I went to United States, and this was the biggest experience of my life for staying there, is that I've experienced a completely different world, right? A world that's been known to me only from the movies, right? And obviously, you go from old communist country, and the first place I landed was Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And it's a small town, Geronimo, Oklahoma, where you had about 22 seniors in high school. So you're like, well, where's Hollywood? Where are the actors? What is happening here?
And then they're
But
playing
at the
Garth
same time,
Brooks.
yes, but exactly. But at the same time, you're discovering things like I always say this story. My when I was 18, when I left Poland, so I came to US. I flew through I think Warsaw, Rome, Chicago, then Chicago, Oklahoma City, and then about an hour and a half south from Oklahoma City to Geronimo, Oklahoma, for the last year of high school. So the family I stay with, my clothes were still wet, and my mother didn't get a chance to dry them. And the lady comes in. Her name is Marsha, and she says, "Arthur, let me see your clothes. I'm gonna dry them." And she takes it. She takes me to a laundry room, shows me two washers. I'm like, what was wrong with this lady? Who's trying to show off? So, we only in Poland we just need one. And she drops it, and she says, you just go, go ahead, go about your day. She comes back, in about a half an hour. Clothes are dry, warm, and I'm like, Jesus, this country, what is happening here? I gotta wait 2 days at home for. So this was, and you either adopt it or you just go against it. But this was definitely, as you know, we never worried about color of the skin. What do you believe in? I mean, I can care less as long as you're good to party.
Yeah.
You're fun to be around. What's the difference, right? And later, and I'm watching U.S. and I'm seeing the same thing in Poland. I'm seeing this in a lot of countries. It's a wave of this nationalistic views. The people that obviously they always had them.
Right.
They
Right.
always said them in them that we're not going to tolerate anything else but like the big thing against, I don't know, let's assume they have something against Jews. They some of these people, most of these people would never probably know a Jewish person on the street, but yeah, they say it's bad, so they're bad. They're taking our money and taking our money. This is absolutely ass backwards. Not something that I knew US from. And I tell everybody, I say, what, it isn't like that. It's just a group of people that does it this way. But then I look at my country and we have the same thing. All of a sudden you hear about some students getting beat up because he was from Saudi Arabia, or because of different color of his skin. And obviously this doesn't happen every day, but the instead of going forward, saying that I believe we should be more liberal, we should be more acceptable. Maybe that somebody wants to pray, let them pray, but if somebody doesn't, don't make them a bad person. But as you mentioned, we have huge protests last 4 days due to a bad, not bad, but a decision by a high court to question the constitutionality of abortion law. We never really had a legal abortion in Poland. The only way you could have an abortion was either incest, rape, uh, if mother's health was in danger, or if the child was gonna be born with a health defect or a huge possibility of dying. And the last two, they just questioned and decided against. And it's not so much about that fact, because if you look at the statistics, there are only about 150 of this sort of abortions that happened last year in Poland. But it's about giving away your freedom to freedom of choice, obviously, freedom, the question, freedom of your ethics, which is very important because you and I, we can, we both have children, beautiful, great children, but we cannot experience what the mothers are going through when when they have to make that decision, and that's got to be the toughest ever. And you have
Yeah.
these grumpy old men sitting in a senate and behind walls and saying, you know, we're gonna make you watch your child die. We got who deserves that? Are we gonna make you raise this child? You're gonna your entire life will be over because we just decided for you to do that. You
I
know?
think I think that's it, and we're going through it too. And I don't believe it's a conspiracy theory. I believe the singularity, right? Through
Right.
AI. So we see that happening right now. And right now humanity feeds AI. We got this big supercomputer brain, which is godlike, right? And we're feeding it the worst parts of us. So all it does, it doesn't judge it. It doesn't. There's no morality to it. It's just what's the computer's job to make things move faster and better. So it's perpetuating our shitty nature, I think.
Mhm.
But I mean, you come from the place where, if there's any place to point in history to where the type of rhetoric that we're hearing in the United States now can destroy, can make human beings do things that are unthinkable. It's we point back to the Holocaust, right? And I was just there with you last year with my kids, and I was telling them, I said, I'm not doing this to scare you, but I want you to be aware that this is what is possible when human suffering goes unattended. And I was I think it was Sophie asked me, well, do you think this could happen again? I said, no, we're too smart. We're too smart. We're too evolved. I don't think this can happen again, but you always have to be aware. And now in that short a time, it's gotten so out of control that, and you talk about it in your country, and we're all connected now through this supercomputer. And it could, I have, there's friends that I see that could easily, I could see them walking their friend to the down the road of death, just so they can stay alive. Like and people are in such denial of the possibility that, or of the fact that it's a possibility that, like the Germans did, they get caught off guard. Now it's either you adhere to these orders or you and your family die. You know what I mean? And everybody's just put into this constant state of fight or flight, real fight or flight. And it's crazy how everything's just mirroring over there with abortion, and it comes down to, and it's really politics. Those crusty old men that are making these laws, they don't give a shit. You know what I mean? There's
Right.
no real morality to them at all. They don't care. It's just, this is going to get me elected, this is what my base wants, let me go ahead
Right.
and do this. Without, I think the cruelest thing you could do is bring a child, because they're not a child. They don't achieve consciousness till the third trimester. Anything beyond that, don't touch the baby. You know what I mean? Like, but prior to that, they're an amalgamation of cells forming, and eventually will become a child. But to force somebody who's saying, I can't raise this child, to force that, because these are the same people in our country that are going to take away social programs, right? There's no
Sure.
welfare,
Of
there's no
course.
nothing,
Yeah.
but you're going to be forced to raise that baby. But how? And it's all politics. It's all politics, and it's all being fed into artificial intelligence and being exacerbated throughout the globe. I don't know if you saw The Social Dilemma, but
Yes, I did. Yes. Yes, I did.
I
Yes.
mean, that's a telltale.
No.
That's
So you have politicians that they're saying not now they're all over this subject saying every life is important, but I heard somebody comment, yeah, until they're gay or they're in vitro or something, because this is what's happening in Poland. You know, if, you got a huge Catholic community, and and they're saying, well, you know, they're against LGBT or they're against gay people. What does that matter? You even got a pope coming out saying everybody deserves love, and I fully agree. I don't care about the sexual preference. I don't care about, we've talked about this, but the trend is going backwards. Instead of, like you
Yeah.
said, we're too evolved. But a majority of people that never traveled, never experienced, never had their mind open, regardless if the mind is opened by psychedelics, we can get into that subject, or just by traveling, or just naturally they're open-minded, but if they're not, they're stuck in their own ways. They never, well, went out of the little town, and they think they know everything, but that can be deadly. That if you get enough these people,
Mob
and they mob
mentality.
up,
Yeah.
yes, we're going to be overran, overforced, over, whatever word you want to use. This is and like you said, it mirrors. It's the same. Everyone I talk to, we have a really nice Ukrainian lady that comes, and she babysits Vince, and she says that's exactly the same thing. That's happening there. They're reaching out to the part of the brain that's going to react in a certain way. I mean, they know how to go about this.
Yeah, the limbic system. And
Yes.
that's where most of us live in our defense mechanisms. None of us, if we think of ourselves as spiritual beings having a human experience, I do. I don't know what's beyond, right? I don't know. I don't have the ego to say that I know what that is. Maybe it's just, what up, dude? What's cracking? What do you think it is? Oh, you lost him. It's
I know I
anti-gravity.
lost. I'm trying. Yeah, I'm trying. I can go another this way. Oh, there's Vince.
What up,
Vince
homeboy?
Junior.
You were just a little
Pomachaj
nugget
dvojka.
last time I saw you.
I'm still a little nugget. He knows about 30 words. Pomachaj dvojka. He's waving to you.
Dziękuję. Dziękuję.
Dziękuję. Dziękuję. So,
But yeah, it's trauma, and that's what I'm real big on right now. I'm doing a roundtable with Bessel van der Kolk. He wrote "The Body Keeps the Score," best book I ever read on trauma. When I was diagnosed with PTSD, I started studying it deeply, and I once I realized the mechanisms of the brain, and where we get stuck. Number one, I was able to empathize with everyone else because I can see it in people's eyes when they're not speaking. They can't get into their neocortex. They're blocked. They're stuck in the amygdala. And if you've had severe trauma as a child, you'll get pushed back into fight or flight. So, you think you're fighting for your life. Literally, you're
Right.
living this experience in real time. And that's how most people live. They live in their defense mechanisms. And when you have somebody, especially at the head of a political party, who exploits that, right? Because it's in us. We all have these human things in us. You have somebody that exploits it. Your country is going through a bad time, and they want to point the finger and say, it's the Mexicans that are taking your jobs, right?
Right.
They want to feel, oh, well, they get this blast of endorphins, right? They feel empowered, and oh yeah, it is them, because I don't want to think it's me. So
Right.
when you get
Of course.
somebody that is willing to come out and play on that, that's where the mob starts to form. People think I'm crazy, and I'm not a Trump hater. I don't hate the guy. I think he's fucking hilarious, but I don't think he should be our president. And he's also a narcissistic sociopath, diagnosably so. I don't think he's ever thought anything was wrong with him to the point where he got diagnosed, but everything he does is he's not racist, because he doesn't care what race you are, as long as he can do something with you that makes him feel superior, right?
Right.
That's what a narcissist does. It trumps everything. It trumps racism, sexism. It trumps all that. You'll go from Muslims to blacks to Mexicans to Mitt Romney, John McCain. It doesn't matter. So,
Right.
So all this guy's trying to do is win. I don't think he's malicious in the fact that he sees that when he charges this hatred, when he does that, that it's dangerous, right? So when I start talking about, if you go to Wikipedia and you look up propaganda, and you get in there and you start reading on propaganda, it goes straight to Mein Kampf, you know,
Right.
Hitler he didn't invent propaganda, he perfected it. And
Right.
it's the same thing, the same playbook. I don't think it's intentional. I think this is part of human nature, but somebody's got to, somebody's got to catch it and cut it off at the pass, because I mean, like you said, you get that mob mentality, and now people are fighting for their lives, and it's. I hope it doesn't go that way. I thought we were way too evolved. I thought we were way too connected
Right.
through technology, and in the age of information, ignorance is a choice, right? If
Right.
you're
Right.
ignorant
Right.
in
Sure.
this age,
Sure.
you've chosen to be ignorant. But again, I can sympathize with a person who can't, who doesn't have the ability to even want to seek new information because they're so stuck. I was stuck like that, not like that exactly, but it took a lot of trauma for me to evaluate myself and see where I was in my own stuckness. And once I figured that out, I was like, all right, well, I don't have to be stuck anymore. But I sympathize with somebody who will never get unstuck, because I was lucky to live through some of the shit we went through.
Where do you think your trauma came from?
I know where it came from. So yeah, I was abused. I thought it was the surface stuff. I watched my dad try to kill my mom, and I snuck out of the bathroom window, had a neighbor call 911. So, I was a punching bag, and my mom was a punching bag for him when I was real young. And 9 months old, I think my mom said, was the first time I was in the hospital with her. But so I thought it was those things. What it really turned out to be, they call this a stuck point in trauma therapy. So after my dad had tried to kill my mom, he weaseled his way back in on the basis of wanting to see his kids. She allowed it. She wasn't trying to keep the kids away. And we go out with my dad, and we're supposed to go out to dinner. First time we'd seen him since then. It's me, my brother, and my cousin. We start arguing over where we want to eat dinner. Well, he snaps. He says, "Well, fuck you, motherfuckers." We're kids, right? They're like 8 years old and shit and younger. And he drops us off back at my mom's house. My mom's gone, and my aunt, and leaves us in the front yard. So I wind up kicking in the back door, and my cousin's younger, my brother's younger. I make a bed for him on the front floor and push some furniture against the back door and grab a butcher knife, and I sleep with it
Whoa.
under the pillow, because I got to protect these guys, right? So
Right.
through years of therapy, we got to that stuck point to where, I had this, I developed this perfectionism, this overachiever complex. I had to protect and save everybody. And when I couldn't, it felt like I was dying. So whenever my ego was infringed upon, I would, if you said something disparaging to me, just the stupidest little insult, I would kill you. I would die for it. You know what I mean? Like, it was that bad. And I didn't know it, and that led to a lot of the craziness, but that was the stuck point. And then everything else builds up to it. So people don't know that, from the third trimester until year 3, you're being programmed. The type of attachment that you develop with your caregivers is going to it's going to dictate your ability to deal with trauma, because we're going to get it. There's pain in life, there's trauma, there's things we have to go through. Somebody who has organized attachment or healthy attachment with their caregivers doesn't have to be perfect relationship. It's just there's an innate sense that they're going to be there for them. If they have that, then when trauma hits, it doesn't have to devastate them. So there's veterans, right? And this is where PTSD was first discovered. Veterans that'll return homes. A lot of the veterans, they can't deal with it. They got the flashbacks, right, and they're never going to be okay again. But there's veterans who see the same thing and they're able to. Not many. It's a minority. But it's based on those first 3 years. And those are the years we think we can kind of, when Vinny was younger, you can cuss in front of them, you can do whatever. They don't know what I'm saying.
Right.
They're the most important years ever. And the most important thing you can do is show them that you love them, like that you're going to be there. When they cry, you got to go,
Right. Show them that. Yeah.
So it's so everybody's experienced it. And that's what the world is. We're evolving as human beings, where we come from hunter gatherers, right? So and the reptilian part of our brain still hasn't grown from. As soon as that's triggered, all it knows is survival. It doesn't know that I'm just having a simple debate here with another person, and that's okay, and I'm not gonna die. For me, I was gonna die. So there's this. It's called the Brodmann section over here. When I'm triggered, this is the same part that'll go offline when you have a stroke. It's responsible for linear speech and anyway, so this goes offline. It's dark, and they know this from fMRIs. And there's a section over here called the Broca section. This part of the brain is only responsible for taking in immediate imagery and then pushing it up to the brain, the upper brain, to be processed, which is weird. So when they ran the experiments, there was nothing for anybody to see visually. They were just being fed words and whatever. So this goes off when the trigger point happens, and it could be a word, it could be a smell, it could be whatever. This goes on. So what in actuality is happening is the person's living that event in real time, but you don't know it. You can't tell because those parts of the brain aren't communicating. It's fascinating. Like when you learn about it, it's really fascinating, and it helps you to deal with the world better. But it's also scary because there's people that just won't get unstuck. Like Donald Trump, he's not the problem. He's really not. It's what he's allowed the problem to come to the surface. It's the fanatic base of Donald Trump. That's the scary part. He's just a narcissist doing what a narcissist does, trying to win. And he's broken too. You can look at the levels of broken in him, and his whole life was predicated on making money, and that's your only worth, right? So that's a hard way to live too. But anyway, and social media exacerbates all this. With
Well,
kids,
of course, yeah, of
24-hour bully cycle now. How many likes can I get? I mean, it's toxic.
Well, in general, I mean, my kid has zero contact with social media. It's the older one, 6.5, but I see how important to him is that he looks appealing. He had a zit on his nose today. It was funny. He's like,
Tail?
My tail, right? And he goes, Dad, what's that? It's his first zit. I'm like, zit, dude, because he had a mask. He was dressed up as a ghost. Speaking of, I told my wife, hey, this costume looks too much like a KKK hat. You guys got to do something with the top. She's like, nobody knows. I'm like, yeah, I want to take a picture. But anyways, so you wore the mask for a long time. Got some zits. And he's like, Dad, you think? He calls me Arthur. He's like, you think the girl's still gonna like me?
Oh
like,
shit.
I said, come on, dude, it's just a zit. Nobody will ever notice your zit, okay? Nobody cares what you got on your nose. It's all about how. But that he
What is he,
cares about
5'6"?
this. He's 6.5.
6.5.
6.5, and he's the girls. He's his kindergarten group's got on the I think 8 people. The 3 of them are girls, and there's the one hot one that he had his girls episodes back when he was 4. He was saying that they were hiding from a teacher under the table kissing. So I'm like, starting early. Yeah, what am I gonna do? But then he comes back 2 days after saying, I'm not gonna mess with her anymore. I'm like, what happened? Her mom disallowed her kissing. So she's not allowed to kiss anymore. I'm like, well, yeah, makes sense. All right, well, but she's still gonna stay friends. But the girls, they're all really, they're the cutest ever. And so that's he's going to first grade next year, and with Corona, I mean, how are they gonna? He needs the interaction. It's hard for him. I'm going, different directions, but it's hard for him. Then he doesn't see his friends. So when we came back, we held him. We went for vacation. Came back, held him for about a month till he came back, and now he wakes up early in the morning, eats his breakfast. That's Dad taking me to the kindergarten. And pretty soon they're gonna probably shut it down again because everybody below 3rd grade, everybody above 3rd grade are doing the remote studies, and if the infections keep going up, then he'll have to stay home. But going back to
Want to talk?
going
Say hi to Art. Pop in the
No.
studio when that light's on, you little punk.
What's up, buddy? Jesus Christ, you're growing.
Huge.
Tell your dad stop feeding you those potatoes. I think. Yeah.
See a Slipknot
Slip,
shirt?
Slipknot. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. How'd you like that Polish band?
Wait.
Art sent that.
Oh yeah, that was.
Behemoth.
Behemoth?
Yeah, they're
Yeah, I like that band.
yeah, they're satanic metal, whatever they're called. Yeah.
Black and Death
So
Metal.
yeah, death metal. Yes, yes. But Theo had his episode with Rage Against the Machine with Iron Maiden, but now it's all hip hop. So hilarious that it's so he. I mean, he hears any vocal. I'm not saying all the rappers, but Eminem is he obviously Eminem is very he's got the very, you can recognize his voice anywhere, but 50 Cent and the game and
He's on
Rick
some old
Ross.
school. The Game.
Rick Ross, dude. Rick Ross. I mean, I got the little one, Vincent, coming in and going, whoa, whoa, doing, the speeding with R. Kelly. And I'm like, no way, this is madness. But, thanks to Spotify, we didn't have that. So they can listen to whatever they want. It's, they want to listen to country music and listen to country music. And that's great because how important is that? I mean, none of the kids in his kindergarten even, they don't even have an idea that there's so much music out there, and for him it's really good. It's I think it's very important that we listen to I wish Vincent can go to concerts. Now he can't, but
Yeah, what's the last one we were at? It was NF. We were at NF. That was the last concert, and then the
What's
world
NF?
shut down. And he's a rapper. They say he's a Christian rapper, spiritual rapper, but
whatever works, whatever
I
sells.
mean,
man.
he's actually
Yeah,
really
yeah.
good.
I was gonna go to a Slipknot concert in June.
Yeah, I know
but
they called the
plans
concert.
were delayed.
Yeah, COVID, Rona, the Rona got you.
The Rona does it. How you doing in school? All right? Is that remote stuff?
They're remote right now so one of the teachers caught the Rona or COVID,
Rona.
and you can't catch the Rona, you got the vid. So so they immediately they lock it down. Sophie had a cough. She had a cough, and there were a couple
Just a
kids
cough.
in the
Yeah.
take them, get them tested. They can't play games because then all the parents, everybody gets quarantined. So that's what happened. They send them all home for 2 weeks. They go back tomorrow, Monday. We'll see what
That's
happens.
good.
But
That's good they get it tested like that, because in Poland, obviously, if you just want to get tested just because you think you got a Rona, you got to pay about $150
really,
to do it. Yeah. So obviously, you can go to the doctor, tell them, you lost your smell and taste, and you got a fever, and obviously they'll send you in. But the system's so overloaded right now that you got to wait for everything. But yeah, the panic is there. But I want to get back to the conversation about Holocaust, and Vince is here now. Holocaust and concentration camps. That when you told me you're coming and you'd like to, you'd like the kids to see it, I was like, damn, that's early, obviously. But the experience, I get chills right now thinking about it. The experience you get there, and the things you see, the things that obviously they're young, but I think they'll remember this, and I think everybody should see that so it never happens again. I mean, there are people out there denying it.
that's insane.
How crazy is that? I mean, do you think we just created a room of millions of shoes? I mean, just how stupid would that be?
Well, the whole thing, the whole stuff, like it's a mental illness when people will. There's some kind of block in people's brains that they will take this outlandish conspiracy theory over fact, because the fact is too much to deal with for whatever reason for them.
Right.
Or flat earth, and this goes back to trauma. Somebody who's deeply traumatized and has disorganized attachment and doesn't trust anything in the world. Well, of course, they're going to question everything. It's okay to question everything. But when you get a series of facts that even in your own brain, you put together and you say, well, yeah, it's kind of hard. If I put a stick, if I test it myself and I put a stick in the ground and I watch the sun move, I'm going to see the angle. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you can do
Right.
simple things yourself. And when you want to deny all of that evidence, that's not because you're smart or because and you may be deeply intelligent, but
Right.
there's something you don't trust, you know. And if you don't trust, if you're always finding the conspiracy theory in things, that's what your world's going to be. It's
Right.
going to be a bunch of people that are trying to
You're
get
going
you.
to over question everything.
You manifest it, you know. So it's what AIs have. Like that, I keep going back to AI because I don't even know if there's some massive conspiracy on COVID and all the things that people throw out there. I think it's simply AI and not conspiratorial. It's just in the same way there's the law of attraction, right? The world is as we see it. So what I'm going to take in all of this stimuli around me, however I process that, and then I either react or I respond. Reacting is never good. If I can process it and then respond, then I get to create what my external environment is. Not physically, things don't morph into shape,
Right.
but
Sure.
but the way I feel about the world around me, it shifts based on that. And lo and behold, if I don't think everyone's out to get me, they're not. You know what I mean? There was a time where I thought that, like, that's what I believed. Are you in space?
No. Yeah. Did you lost me? No, I checked. I'm looking. I'm doing a million things at the same
Somebody
time.
trying to get you? No.
Yes. Yes.
These
Absolutely.
pills are good.
This is so
Pills
good.
are so good.
Man, I missed that. I missed good. I missed good company. Good parties. Obviously, you get older. You don't do that anymore. But this was the best time. And it's
It was a Studio 54. Like when I first came back from LA that first time, it was like 2000. That's when I came back, and then we hooked up, and I was staying with Hugh and making
right.
movies, and and we were he'll catch it later. We're going to Hughes tomorrow with the kids for Halloween.
Good.
We're
Good.
gonna
Tell
trick
'em,
or
say
treat
what's
off each
up.
other.
Yes. Yeah, damn Canadians.
At least they scrub everything anyway. No Rona there, but
No Rona there.
yeah.
That's hilarious. It was good times, man. Obviously, you gotta, as soon as this thing gets lifted, you gotta come down. We'll leave the kids and we'll do the Berlin scene or Barcelona scene, and it's one of them scenes that get
I'm
back
on the
and
next. I had that flight. I was rolling out to Paris, and then you're like, well, why don't you try Tel Aviv? Or like, whatever.
yeah,
And
yeah,
then
that was yeah. So going back to, so you mentioned Tel Aviv, so obviously Tel Aviv was great. I went there in February. Now I talked to a lot of Jewish people, and it was my first visit there, and I was wondering what is their view towards the World War II and Poland and Nazi Germany and the concentration camps. And I mean, a lot of them obviously migrated. A lot of them have Polish roots, but for them, in school they teach about that. Obviously, that this can never happen. But I'm not sure what the population of Israel is, 4.5 million or whatever it is, 5 million. Not sure exactly, but there's got to be more people talking about it, more people, because obviously, we can't say only the Holocaust happened. We can say that the genocide happened for thousands of years, and obviously still happening.
slavery.
Maybe
I
not.
mean,
Yeah, yeah,
slavery's the Holocaust. The generations that are left with PTSD that they'll never get rid of. And without deep psychotherapy or some type of psychedelic experience, something to jostle that open up the neural pathways. But there's
not
generations left to
everybody's going.
feel that trauma.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's being
Remember
passed on big time.
when we were at the death camp? There was that group of Jewish kids that were visiting, and they all had their Star of David flags wrapped around. That was beautiful. Like to
Right.
see them be able to walk through there and experience that, and have it be a
It's
cautionary tale, but still they're smiling.
right.
Um,
They travel. I mean, there's a lot of them. They make like a school trip, like not a senior trip type of thing, but it's mandatory for them to go and visit, because Poland used to be a huge Jewish population. Actually, back in 13th and 14th century, we had this king, and he said, we're going to have a tolerant, very liberal country. So the Jewish obviously were always chased down from somewhere, and he said, anybody wants to come live in Poland? please do. You know, we're going to be very, we're going to accept you for what you are. And this was great because until obviously Hitler came, this the there were there. I mean, I wasn't there, but what I hear is that the polarization wasn't there. You know, Jewish lived next to Polish people. Obviously, we had different religions. I mean, there's always, you know, some part of the population that hates each other, but in general, we lived in a great peace. But then, obviously, you know, crazy person came and decided that we're gonna, you know, we're going to do what we're going to do, and we're going to tell everybody there's only one race, and you know, one race of the perfect race, and everybody else, you know, not only Jewish. I mean, they killed so many Romas, you know,
Yeah.
so many that, I mean, surprising that that they survived, you know. But it's tough. This should never happen to ever again in the future. And like you said, looking at some of the actions people are doing right now, you wonder, you know, what's going to spark the next the next genocide. You know, what is it going to be caused by? Because like you said, he's stealing my job. You know,
Yeah.
which is again ridiculous. You know, ridiculous. We had over a million. We have 40 million people almost. We have over a million workers coming from Ukraine, working here, working hard. These people work really hard. I mean, I have full respect for them, and you know, they kept our prices low because obviously they're going to work a little cheaper. They take jobs that nobody else would take, and you know, if nobody else takes them, then obviously the business owner has to raise the salary so somebody else takes them. Then, you know, you got, you know, picking strawberries or picking apples. All of a sudden, you're not paying you know, 50 cents for a pound of apples, but you got to pay twice as much because the prices are, you know, increasing. A lot of people don't understand that, you know. And same thing with U.S. Just because
Mexico.
somebody came from South America, you know, or Central America, you should be. Everybody should be grateful that they want to come here and share their culture and live in this you know, fantastic country. I have nothing but good things to say about U.S. I always do. Not U.S. About American people that I've experienced. I mean, I always say that I had more strange Americans, meaning ones that I didn't know that were willing to help me out. That's beautiful. I always mention this because, you know, you in Europe you don't hear much. You only see Trump and you see, you know,
Yeah.
the violence. And I said, there's so many good people, good-hearted people that are empathetic, that are willing to help, you know, that are willing to listen, and that's how it should be. You know, that's how it all should be everywhere. And I think there are good people all over the world, but
Well, even in Germany, Nazi Germany, there were people that weren't Nazis and were,
obviously,
you know,
mostly were Nazis. You know,
and against it, completely against it. But they weren't, they couldn't take the signs, right? They were caught in this this illusion that it can't happen. That they couldn't even put it in perspective probably at that
right?
point, because that was, I mean, that's why we talk about it still. It was just, but you know, if you're not, if you're not at least cognizant of that, like, people don't want to touch in, they don't want to tap into the dark parts of themselves and think that way and say that under certain circumstances maybe my brain could be shifted to, you know, we want to separate ourselves from, but that's the bad person. Well, no, maybe look at the bad person, quote unquote bad person, and say, you know, what about that person do I emulate? You know what I mean? Because we're all mirrors of each other.
Right.
And there's so, when people start scapegoating and finger pointing, the bubbles got, you know, and especially when the leader of the free world is doing it, you can't do that. You can't, yeah.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
you can't, he just and I'm not vilifying the guy. I think he's a narcissist doing what narcissists do, but he came to Michigan just recently, and you know, there's a lot of people that dislike the governor for the way she handled COVID, and that's fine. You know, I don't agree with everything she did either. I don't hate her, you know, and I'm not going to sit out there like an idiot saying lock her up. You know, it's
What did
just,
she do wrong? Because I didn't follow.
she was extreme. You know, she took extreme measures, and people can equate that to her wanting to show power, you know, because she thought she was going to get the vice presidency. She doesn't now, and she's still, I don't know what her agenda is. I don't really care. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, I'm going to do what's best for my fellow humans. I don't care what the government does. But when Trump came, so there was a 6 guys, I believe it was. They had this little militia group or whatever, and they got caught trying. They had plans to kidnap her while she was on vacation and kill her. And so
Wow.
they're in jail now. Trump comes out here and you know he says something like, when she doesn't even thank me because this is my Justice Department, and then everybody starts chanting, lock her up, lock her up. It's not like, if you're a normal person to have that conversation with Trump, he can be disparaging, he can make a joke. You can't do that in front of a mob that you've already fueled that base. I mean, there's people dropping it's insane. The old people are passing out in I think it was Tucson, just waiting for this guy to get there and speak. Like, you know, the mobs just, it's not normal, it's not healthy. Like it when there's a groundswell like that and people are willing to risk their own health just to hear, and he's not that eloquent, you know what I mean? Like, they just want to hear that, feed me that shit, you know, let me feel I need to blame somebody because my life is shit, so I got to blame somebody.
But look where, you know, I mean, where, again, half of the country voted for him, right? Half of the country.
He didn't win the popular vote, you know, but
more or
still,
less. But I'm saying,
call it
still,
that. Yeah.
just an outrageous amount of people when you think about it. And again, I don't want to get involved in, especially in U.S. politics. I don't follow that much. But you have a mirror situation. We had a presidential election, which was scheduled for May. And obviously, you know, due to COVID, everybody says, no, let's don't vote. Let's, you know, don't make everybody go out there and vote.
They tried that.
So they waited till the summer, and they, you know, we voted, and the incumbent won, and he's a puppet anyways. It took him a week to come out and say anything about the current protests. I mean, you're a president, dude. First day you should come out and say, you know, I support this or I support that. Don't wait a week until the ruler of the party tells you what to do, you know?
Right.
So but half of the people voted for him. You know, this is how we can get more in politics. Obviously, what they used in Poland, that really worked. They reached out to the electorate that never voted before. Okay, never voted. I mean, they never thought their vote's going to work. And what they did is like, well, you know, maybe we should. Anybody that's got kids is going to get $150 a month per kid. When we get elected, people say, wow, okay, great. Not thinking that's your money, right? That's your money that's being given away. So they came to power. They said, you know, we don't have enough for the first kid, but we're going to give you for the second kid. So they're like, okay, well, it's something, you know, for average salary in Poland's maybe $800, maybe to 1,000. So nothing big. So if you're saying that you're going to get, you know, 15% of your salary basically for nothing, for having a kid, that's great. And with the second election, they said, you know, now we're going to give it to you for the first one. People are saying, wow, great, they're going to give us some money. You know, again, half of the population not realizing that they don't have any money. They're giving away our money, you know. So this is a dirty politicians using this using, you know, giving away money to win the election. I wonder, and you know, when is it going to happen that we're not going to need politicians? You know, that would be ideal, right?
It would be. You know, Bobby makes an interesting point about the media. The media and a two-party system go hand in hand, right? You only need 50% of the population to like you to feel like you're on top of the world. Right. So they do go hand in hand, and they fuel each other, and then they feed the information they want. Social media is exacerbating that. So like for me, I don't care. I prefer that Biden win, not because he's good. He's not. The thing is, everybody who's voting for Biden, not everybody. Some people might really like Biden and think that's the right choice. But a lot of the people that lean towards humanity, that would lean towards liberal or the blue side, they know that shit. The guy I'm voting for, he's no good. So that, to me, that's strong, because then you can say, well, there's a problem in the system, right? There's for Trump's supporters, they really believe he's good. Like some of them, if you put Jesus next to Trump, they would vote Trump, right? Like that's how so that's a scary thing. So it make my thing is I want to take down the two-party system. Like I want to show up on on inauguration day with all these different groups, all these different races, all these different groups that haven't denounced violence first, show up on inauguration day, and whoever takes that mic, before they take the mic, you say, no, you work for us. You're going to listen to us. And here's what's going to happen. On day one, you're going to write an executive order banning campaign finance. And then we're going to work on what the caps are, what the free airtime is and the equal airtime for each candidate. And we're going to make this a government for the people, because no taxation without representation. If you don't do that, we're not paying taxes. Take away their taxes. They don't have any money. Go board up the White House and sit in there, eat your cheeseburgers, man. Because you know what I mean? Like it's to that point. I think it can be a peaceful revolution. And maybe on the other side too, but the problem that I have with the real fanatics, and they're fanatics on the left too. They're just not as dangerous. I don't think. Maybe neither are dangerous. Maybe there's people that are deluded. You know what I mean? There's people that think this system still works. And if their guy gets in, we're going to have another 4 years of that system still being in half of the population's mind as being functional. And for me, I don't want my kids in this shit. Like right now, when I talk to you and I talk to people in England and it's similar, so we've been provided with an opportunity to actually do something, to step out and do something and break what doesn't work, break it down and get rid of it before the whole empire collapses. Because that's what's next. Every great empire collapses. Why? Because normal people with cooler minds, they don't do anything and they don't prevail. They fall like sheeple. So right now we got an opportunity to get out there and really break down the two-party system. And Canada, man, you get 5 candidates, right? Or however many. And I think it's 5 right now. They have equal airtime. You can only spend X amount of dollars on the campaign. Corporate money can't buy the votes or buy the politicians. Like that's common sense to me. Like where if somebody's spending almost $1 billion to win a job that pays 6 figures, what else is in there?
Right.
And it's the same in I can't speak on Poland politics, but the way that you're talking and what I learned when I was at the fact that Warsaw was leveled like that, and when we went through the castle, the rebuilt castle, and got a piece of that history, I'm like, God damn, man. The what I told my kids when we were out at Auschwitz, this is what's possible when human suffering goes unattended. And that's what's happening now. People are suffering, and like simple humans, they separate themselves from the suffering of the other person. Sure. And you're suffering worse than me. You're on the street, so you know what I mean? And we label ourselves as these different things rather than trying to show compassion. Step in compassion. What does it mean? Literally to sit in suffering with another. That's what it means.
Right.
And if we could do that, we might have a chance, but people are so fucking selfish. Like friends of mine that'll say, well, I got an extra $700 on my check, so fuck the population. You know what I mean? Like it's
we need to think about our kids. We need to think about what we're going to leave. Where are we going to leave them? What are we going to leave them? How?
Not in a concentration camp. I hope.
Look like it's every decision that we make. I mean, we're big on the recycling. That we're big on the. I remember I giving you a glass bottle, saying, "What the hell are you doing with plastic?" And obviously, we're trying to. We carry glass bottles with us everywhere I carry. When I go to the store, I have the reusable bags with me. That just is just a right thing to do. I mean, we've been doing this for a while. I mean,
uh-oh. Are we losing you to outer space again? We might have lost him, folks. All right, let me He's talking over there. Did I lose him? Let's see what's going on here. I'm going to try to get Art back, but I'm going to look at some of these questions. Question: if our current system doesn't work, why do people try to get in by the millions? Well, because it's still the American dream. I mean, it's with all of our flaws, it's still by far the best country on the planet. And part of that is I got to send him another invite because he got sent out to outer space again. Let's see. It's still the best country, and that's because of the Constitution. If we adhere to that piece of paper, you know, the genius of that piece of paper is that you can tell it was written by guys who had just come from Great Oppression, and they knew they didn't want to go back to it. There's writing in there that says, you know, they owned slaves, but they said all men are created equal. There were so many contradictions that spoke to people who were able to admit that we don't know what the best way is, and we know this thing is going to grow, and we saw what happened. So we're going to put these amendments in here that we know now, the right to bear arms against a tyrannical government. But then they did this one genius thing, and they said this can be amended in perpetuity. So, you know, if we stick to that, we still have the greatest country. And to be honest, there's other countries out there where where if you speak like we speak about the leadership, well, you could die. So I'd rather be here too. And I hope that's an answer to the question. But I'm not disparaging America. I think we have the best. This is the best place to take that next step into. And everybody wants to talk about socialism, communism. Why do we have to have an ism? We're America, goddammit. Like, why don't we create what the next thing is? All these other things have not worked so far. So why don't we get creative with it instead of just falling into rank and file with these two fucking parties that could give a shit about us? They're owned by corporations. Like, that's my thing, you know, break down the two-party system, then not break down America, not break down corporations. Let them be corporations, but stay the fuck out of our politics. You can't buy our politicians anymore. Like, and if we stop paying taxes, you got no money to spend, motherfucker. You don't have a salary. You know what I mean? You can't offer me scraps because I didn't give you my scraps to offer me back. It's got to be that, you know. So I don't know. Art's floating around out there, but I guess for now we'll chop it up on. Oh, here he is. Yes. Oh, did it? Okay. All right. Well. Yeah, we can go whenever. Yeah, we can go whenever. All I do is send this to the studio when I'm done, and then they push it. So. All right. We'll schedule another one. I'll take whatever questions are here. Well, it's a long form conversation. Some people don't like it. They want it more structured because that's how they're used to it. But with long form conversation, it's the best when people disagree in long form because they get to flesh their ideas out, and you can really understand. Oh, I don't agree with you, but I see what you're talking about. You know what I mean? That's why I like it. But we pretty much agree on shit. Yeah. We'll talk about Studio 54 in those days next time. But yeah, I'm gonna. Yeah, no worries. I'm gonna grab these questions and then we'll see you in Poland again. we 5 hours. Those pills are good. Yeah.
And I bought the kit in, kits are legal. I bought the kit in Poland, paid $50, and I did 3 harvests out of that motherfucker, altogether over 2 ounces.
Yeah, my therapist out here, so I do ketamine therapy, and I'm sorry you guys can't see art, but we're chopping it up. Fuck it. I do ketamine therapy still, not often. I do therapy consistently, but I'll go in for the intramuscular at least once. I try to do it once a month. She just got legislation passed in what's it called? Ann Arbor. She's responsible for all of this psilocybin legislation, and she's a psychedelic integration therapist, which is pretty sweet. I didn't know that existed, but okay. I'm gonna see if there's anything else on here, and then but yeah, we'll set up another time and we'll continue this. Yeah, no worries. Fucking interweb. All right. It's the Russians. All right, later. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. So I don't know. I guess I'm gonna bail out too. Unless there's anything else. Anything else? Yeah, I think a lot of no, we'll continue it another time. Keep the questions and comments coming. Anybody wants to get on here, and especially I like mixing it up with people who I don't agree with. Not hateful people. There's no room for hate and people that are trying to shove an agenda. That doesn't go anywhere. But people that disagree and can speak about it like this, or me and Brian, the one the other night with Brian, that was we didn't agree on most things, but we weren't bashing each other. And when you allow the space for people to say what they got to say, and you disagree or they disagree, and you don't have to react to that visceral feeling of, oh, I don't like what they said, and you just let it breathe, you start to understand where the person's coming from. I think that's important. I think that's what we're missing right now more than anything is our listening. We don't listen. We listen to respond, not to respond even. We listen to react. We're so busy and consistent with trying to defend ourselves when nobody's attacking. Maybe somebody is attacking. But for the most part, nobody's attacking. They're in their ideas, and we don't like those ideas, and we feel the need to stomp on somebody else. No, there can be a lot of ideas floating around, and a lot of good ones that that we just don't agree with. But anyway, yeah. So that art, we go way back, way back, and I'll let him tell his story. We didn't get into that, but it's real interesting, the things that he went through in his time in America. And and it was amazing to go back to his country last year and see what that was all about. And it's even more interesting to know that the same shit's happening, the same problems, they're the same problems. There's something to that. And we need to think about that as humans. We're a world away, yet they're protesting the same things. They're pushing the same agendas. And when I say they, I'm talking about the politicians, the government. They're not our friends. The government is not our friends. There's nobody you can vote for right now that you could say is our friend, even if you thought they were the best person for the job. I supported Bernie. I didn't think he'd push any of his policies through because that's the type of government we're in right now. It's a two-party system. They didn't like Barack Obama. Anything you do, shove down your fucking throat. Done. Mitch McConnell said when he came into office, my job is going to be to block everything this man does and make him a one-term president. That's for the people, by the people. You know what I mean? I don't care how, it's the same with Trump. Same thing just happened. We're watching the left block everything he tries to do. And it's a never ending cycle. For people who can't see that, that's okay. You don't have to see that, but that's what's going on. That's the two-party system. That's what happens when corporate interests buy the prevailing parties. That's what it is. And if we don't eliminate that, we're maybe not even intentionally, but what we're doing is we're putting our kids into some shit that may have them in another Holocaust or worse, you know. So, all right, guys, I'm gonna get off. I could talk to myself forever, but I'm done now. It's human condition. Keep the ideas coming. Like I said, anybody who wants to get on here, chop it up. I think now's the best time to do it. Especially if I disagree with you or you disagree with me. Let's flesh it all out and let's flesh it all out and do it the right way. Let's not beat each other up. I'm out. Love you guys.